Hello everyone, Biscuit Goats here, back after a hectic week last week, and today I'm going to be showing off pure Tenpai Dragons. Yeah, after that profile I gave you guys a couple weeks ago, I actually ended up trading for this deck with the guy, and I wanted to play the pure variant. So I went 3-1, beating Branded, Voiceless Voice, and Trap Tricks Riker, how you pronounce it, losing only to Ubel, which is a pretty bad matchup for this deck in my opinion. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to show you the deck, give you an idea how it plays, give my thoughts on it. I'm not going to show a side deck today because the side deck I played at the event was kind of last minute because I was kind of in a rush. And once I perfected one, I'll put a list in the comments. So for those who know what this deck is, it is a Go Second deck. It goes to make a bunch of synchros in the battle phase, hit for multiple damage, and one-shot the opponent. I will say this, by the way, the build I played on Tuesday was not playing this Trident Dragons. I managed to get stuff from a friend today, and you don't really need this to OTK the opponent, but once it gets a reprint, get it then. The only reason I have one out because I had a lot of trades I didn't need, so I was able to trade for it without spending any money. Okay, let's get to the deck. For the dragons, 3 Pydra, 3 Chandra, 2 Fadra. This is the standard one because Fadra is the worst one to open up with. So Pydra is the 1-card starter of the deck, which is kind of become mandatory for top decks these days. On summon, it adds a spell to the hand from the archetype. You can either get the field spell, which promotes a custom card that can extend your players by getting you another dragon, or and protecting your board. Or if you don't need that, you can get the quick play spell that during the battle phase lets you add and summon a dragon, and it also gives you a quick sync in the battle phase. Also, this card prevents you from taking any damage with dragon monsters when you attack, which means you can get 3 attacks off very quickly, which lets you, which gives you access to your synchros effects. This card is kind of like the standard opener for the modern decks, and it's one of the best ones we've seen in a while. Complementing it is 3 copies of Shudra, which can summon itself with 5 dragons in the field. So your ideal play is this: get the field spell, get this, summon this, do your combos. Shudra also lets us summon a dragon from the deck for the damage step, which gives us access to this. In addition to this, Shudra is usually the card we want to bring back with this to go into our, because it's a tuner, it gives us access to level 7 and 10 synchros. And finally, we've got the Fadra, which is the monster born that also does quick synchro in the battle phase. We only want 2 of this because you don't want to open this card, you want to search it and summon it. Overall, I like this ratio. I think it's pretty much the default ratio, and I can't disagree with it. Then, complementing that, we have 3 copies of Sengen Summoning. This is a custom card. If people have said this, and it's blooming true. So basically, what this card does, so you don't know, it's a Miscellaneousaurus in the field spell zone. Your opponent can interact with your 5 dragons in main phase 1 as long as this card is up. So with this, Terraforming, and Hydra, you essentially have 7 Miscellaneousauruses in your deck that can also be used as a searcher, because you can search a Tenpai Dragon per turn with this, and then pitch a card. Meaning you have a little bit of a grind queue if necessary, although you don't really want to if you can help it. Also, when the card is popped, it doubles attack of a monster, making it easy to OTK, and it can be available with Trident Dragons. And finally, for the Tenpai cards, we have 3 copies of Sangen Chimera. This card is a quick play spell. It can summon and add Tenpai Dragons, and in battle phase it does both. So essentially, you want to hold this to the battle. If you're in second, you hold this to the battle phase, you activate it, summon whichever one of the dragons you're missing for your combo from the deck, or if you've got all 3 out, you summon another copy of Pydra for extra damage. And if you're going first, you set this. Then if you survive the turn, you flip it to the end phase, get a Pydra, and you can go off from there. And this is the entire engine that is not hand traps or bell breakers. And you know what? I absolutely love that, because this is one of the best ways you can get a new player into the game. The win con is simple as heck. The cards are mostly cheap. This is a bit pricey, but compared to a lot of other decks, it's not that much. And yes, the ultimate build does play this, but 1, it's going to get reprinted soon, I guarantee it, and 2, you don't need it to win at a local level. And as for the rest of this deck, it can pretty much be whatever you want, whatever fits your meta. So for me, I have 2 Fenrirs. You could possibly play 3 in this, but I only actually have access to 2, so there's that. 1 Magnum Loot to disrupt the Light and Dark decks, and this is the best play going first. You make spheres with 2 dragons. You summon this off the spheres. You get a Pydra, and then you go from there. Then we have the hand traps. 2 Ghost Ogre. This was to keep the deck as a decent size. You could play 3. 3 Veiler. And to complement the 3 Veiler, we have 3 Infinite Permanents. These are all just ways of blanking a single effect. The goal of this, by the way, is not necessarily to completely stop your opponent, it's just to make their board weak enough that you can blast through it going second. Speaking of which, in my opinion, the best hand trap in this deck is 3 Nibiru. Which, by the way, is one of the reasons I'm not playing 2 Fenrir, because they do kind of conflict. But Nibiru, on 5 summons, you summon this, you blow up their board and you give them a token. Depending on the deck you're playing against, that token can be quite weak, which makes it easy to blast through with a Tenpai Dragon. And Nibiru is a 3k body on board, which makes it much easier to OTK your opponent. And of course we have 3 Ash, because it's the best hand trap in the game. Again, if you're in Snake Eyes, this can be an issue, because they can go heater into this. But otherwise, this is the best way to stop an opponent. The Terraforming, because Sangan Summoning is like a custom card. You could also plus play Set Rotation and a Necro Valley if you wish. I'm considering that build, I haven't tried it yet. This is then my favourite card in the whole deck, Forbidden Droplets. This is non-targeting effect negation that can't be stopped by certain effects, because you just card a card. For each card you just card, you negate an effect, and they can't respond with cards at the same time that you discarded. So you can pitch a monster in a spell, and most decks can't do anything about this. It also halves the points of the monsters it's negating, so it makes them easy to OTK. So yeah, this is definitely the best card in the deck that's non-engine in my opinion. 2 Triple Tactic Talents, because one thing this deck is kind of has a problem with is that if Pydra gets ashed, depending on your hand, that could end your turn. So you want more ways to see more cards, because if you see a summoning, if you see Kamen, you can still play through even with an ashed Pydra. Then we're having 3 Prospies. I'll say this. If you don't have this, you may want to consider a different card, because this half the damage you deal. This can get to 6,000 with 3 attacks, so that does not matter with this. But if you don't have this, you may want to play Desires. You may want to play another piece of interaction. It's up to, but it could be risky to play this without a Trident Dragon. And one card I'm playing in this deck is Harpies. This is to blow away floodgates. It's to deal with the continuous cards of decks like Voice's Voice or like Count OTK. And it's to basically, it's an insurance policy if I can't OTK them for some reason. And that was my main deck. Like I said, what I like about this deck is that it's a simple, effective OTK strategy. It's simple, it's enough for a player getting into the game to understand, and other than Pydra, it's cheap enough to play as well. I think this deck is actually a good thing for the game, and for that reason, it basically does what Warrock was supposed to do. Now let's show you my extra deck. This is a bit different with it because I didn't have certain cards. For example, there's no Zelantis, Hita, or the Salmon Grey card in this deck, which you should have if you can. I didn't have access to them, so I chose to play this lineup instead. 1 IP Masquerena to make a protected SP Little Knight. This is obviously the best non-synchro disruption you have. If the opponent debatters you, you can just set this up and hope for the best. Also, one thing you can do here, you can use this. One thing I did in one of my matches is I use this to get rid of one of my synchros, to get effect off to summon back a dragon and continue my combos. I did no TK, but if I didn't have this, I would have probably lost that match. Spheres, there you go, first play. You do this, you hope with a Fenrir and some hand traps back it up. You get the Bestial Magnum out, which of course gives you access to your Hydra for the next turn. Access Code Talker, because I don't know Zelantis, this should be a Zelantis. Princess, again, great card to play under D-Barrier. Also, if you are under a Floodgate, this can, like, one thing you might play against this deck is Grave of the Superaged Organism. This is a way to play around that somewhat, because all your Mind Deck Dragons can play under it. So playing this 27 beta with those dragons can sometimes be enough to win. These are only property. These are Crystal Wing and Sulking, which I had to borrow. Didn't come up, but they're another decent option. You can possibly make going first. These could be anything really. For the synchros, 2 the big dragon, 2 the small dragon. So this dragon on summon lets you bring back a dragon from the grave. as a tuner as well, so you can really synchro climb into the level 10 or into one of the monsters. Also, if you both these cards are effective if you attack with 3 more times, which is very easy to do because all the monsters trigger in battle phase, you can actually cause multiple replays, but the attack still counts as it's gone through. It's been declared, sorry, so it's very easy to get 3 attacks off to get both of these to go off. This one, this card is insane, by the way. I'm just going to read this to you guys, because I'm kind of new with this. It makes your opponents attack if they can, and it puts them all into attack mode. But even more importantly, this is Sangen summoning on the battle phase. So basically, if you get this out with Sangen summoning, your opponent can't interact with you at all. Also, like I said, if you don't have to attacks, you can rinse back to from the graveyard and pop a monster. This one pops back row. Yeah, this is kind of like a custom-y kind of thing, but it's so simple that a young player can get into this, which I like. So aside of that, we have the Black Rose trilogy. Now, this one I'm gonna make people thinking, why are you playing this if you? Well, one, I was playing this for this, but even though I've got this now, I keep this in because on summon it nukes graveyards, which it banishes their entire graveyard. So if you can't OTK, you have this, and now since both graves are empty, you've got a live D-shifter mid game, which players are not going to be expecting. It's also got a 3/2 body, and if you have this and a hand trap, you can make it this and wipe the field. You can make it like that and wipe the field. Good. I never thought I'd see the day where Black Rose Dragon was actually good again. Because of the Sangen summoning giving all your fire dragons protection, you basically have an unstoppable dark hole in this deck now. So if your opponent's made a board full of negates that you can't, or interruption you can't involve with during the battle phase, just make this, blow everything to high hell. Hopefully your opponents put a lot of resources into their board so you can get them on the crackback. And this is Disruption. It bounces something back to the opponent's hand, both on summon and during each of the turns. So it's good again if you can't OTK, but usually what you're doing is you're making the active cards and finishing off on this. This card, for those who don't know, it pops 2 cards on summon to get 3 attacks, and when you pop the field spell, it doubles points. So now you've got 18,000 damage with this, or 9,000 under the pot. So yes, this card by itself can OTK through the pot if your opponent's board's clear. Again, this is something I say you haven't got to play. You could play Disparter, you could play, again, Ray Rose Dragon, you could play a good generic Link. But if you can get to this deck becomes one of the best decks in the game. Again, I'm not going to show you the what I played because it was kind of last minute. Obviously, you want to play some going first stuff, but also Draw Lockbird, D-Shifter, and Phantasmia are good options. You could possibly play D-Barrier as a way to lock out certain decks going first, if you're going first. And you could also possibly... Also, one thing I want to say about with sideboarding is this deck is one of the best smoke screens I've ever seen in my life. Let me show you something. 3, 6, 8, 11, 14. That is your entire engine for this deck. Actually, no, here, 15. There's your 15 card deck. Now imagine putting this in your side deck when you're playing something like Labyrinth, for example. Labyrinth, you're going to go first, you're going to set up your traps. So your opponent's going to think, okay, I'm going to make you go second. Cool. I'm going to take out 15 of my Labyrinth cards, put these in. You've probably not set up for me going second. I'm just going to smash through you and kill you. Just something to consider if you're playing a hard go first deck like Labyrinth, or with the new Riker cards like Trap Rex maybe, or something like that. Basically, if your deck can fit in this engine, because you really don't need that much of an extra deck engine for this, these 3 mostly, but you can play some of the ones if you wish. So again, another reason I think this deck is great for new players is because not only does it give them an easy budget way to do well against top decks, but it gives them an easy way to try other decks in the future if they wish. So yeah, that was my Tenpai Dragon deck profile. Like I said, 3-in-1. My last was to Yubel because that deck also works in the battle phase, and it plays in a way that shuts this deck down. I will be having scheduled videos out at the end of the week, but my next Yu-Gi-Oh guide will be on this deck because I think a lot of people will want this deck because it's so beginner friendly. So I want to make a full guide showing that off to players. So be ready for that next week. I'm the Best Full of Goats, and I will see you all in the next one.